て、で、
Today we're going to start Myanmar. Just we didn't finish Aung San Suu Kyi's address. So I just going to start to, we're going to watch the remaining portion of Aung San Suu Kyi's address. It's 20 minutes remain, and then after that, we're going to show you 25 minutes, what kind of, his mindset, or why he's going to, tell the truth. He just speak out address in 2016. Okay, let's go to start. First of all, that's a little bit going to start in Japanese, but okay, go ahead.
I forgot. Sorry.
Okay, anyway, we're going to have a look, okay? Just going to start. Okay.
The Rakhines are poor, the Muslims, they are poor. And we want everybody
Rohingya. She's talking Rohingya.
And secure. Now,
safe and secure. Rohingya.
What we've been trying to do is to find a way of relieving communal tension and putting an end to communal strife. And to that purpose, we created a commission headed by Dr. Kofi Annan, because this is a matter in which the international community has been interested for quite a number of years. It became an issue that was discussed in the United Nations as long ago as 2010. So we need somebody with an international stature to head the commission that is meant to look into the real problems that are plaguing the Rakhine State. And
Rakhine State is Rohingya's location, right? She knows that, right? She knows that, right? This issue. And Kofi Annan is the former United Nations Secretary General, right?
Oh, no, I'm not aware of
Kofi Annan, she said name.
Yes.
So for many decades they're discussing for these issues. She understands that also she just speaks as flagging the Rakhine State. Okay, flagging means turmoil. Strife is Rohingya issue. For several decades, she do know that. Okay.
Yeah, of course, some political parties started protesting against this, and they said that we were dragging by appointing a foreigner, Dr. Kofi Annan, as the head of the commission, and including other foreigners, because there are two others. We were
now is Kofi Annan the head of the commission, means he's in charge from United Nations to solve this issue. Okay.
Dragging a domestic issue onto the international stage.
She said domestic issue onto the international stage, she said, right?
Explained that it had been on the international stage for some time, and we had not been able to do anything about it. And that we're not afraid of international scrutiny. Why should we be afraid of international scrutiny if we're...
But they stopped the investigation of United Nations get into the Myanmar a couple of months ago.
They stopped?
They stopped, rejected. She rejected he rejected the United Nations coming to the Myanmar a couple of months ago.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, this is actually they rejected. Instead, she told that last year. Right?
Doing what is right. We should not be afraid of any scrutiny if we believe.
Oh my goodness, we should not be afraid of any scrutiny.
This is a video from 2016, right?
Doing what is right.
This is
video from
2016,
right?
Last year, September.
Okay.
September, you know?
Yeah.
And Kofi, as you say, is not exactly inexperienced. He's a person with phenomenal experience. And it's not unique for a country to invite someone internationally to work on a particular problem at home. On the rest of the peace process within your country, I noticed at the Panglong conference that you had, the groundbreaking peace negotiations, which commenced not long ago. China also had a role there. As a mediator, I presume in relation to a particular part of the overall domestic disputes and border-related disputes
I'm not quite sure what you mean by saying a role as a mediator, because I don't think we have this role for anybody except members of the National Reconciliation and Peace Center.
Let me put it more broadly. In terms of international help, can the Chinese be of help?
Everybody can be of help. It's not just the Chinese, and we can't welcome help from anybody who's in a position to promote peace in our country.
Right.
From the Chinese, from the Australians, from the Americans,
She said.
whoever is interested in truly promoting peace in our country.
She said.
Because there are some groups which are not really interested in peace. They are only interested in their influence with regard to the peace process.
You yourself.
The relationship with your neighbours, and I'll pursue just for a moment, let's say the economic relationship with a very large neighbour, China, an economy which affects, frankly, most economies represented in this room. Certainly for my country, Australia is our largest economic partner. Going back to well before you were formally in office in 2011, we had the suspension of that very large dam project, the Maitsone Dam, I think, if my pronunciation is vaguely
Yes, sir.
correct. Which is...
Yes, it's, your pronunciation is very bad.
Yeah, thank you. If you like, I could render it in Mandarin, but and my Mandarin's considerably better than my Burmese, which is...
That's no use if you're speaking Burmese.
You're absolutely right, State Councillor. By the way, after you've studied Chinese, your head's full. You just don't go on to other languages. It's gone. On that dam project, though, which has achieved quite a bit of international publicity, and I see that there are negotiations that you've been having about taking the project forward again with the Chinese. How is all that going? Because it has been a prominent international matter with international...
We have established a commission to look into this, and this commission is made up of experts. It's headed by the Deputy Speaker of our lower house, who is a Kachin, and of course, as those who have been following the dam negotiations will know that it is going to...
She said dam negotiation means Chinese government made negotiation with Myanmar to building dam construction, northern part of Myanmar. But they had some...
Water dam.
Water dam, hydrogen dam.
Okay.
But they had a problem because China government thinking about construction of dam is for Chinese province. All those electricity brings to the China. So that's the reason why Myanmar government against both those construction. But China at that time, okay, I don't know what's going on now, but suspended for a while. So this kind of discussion she's talking about.
Was going to be situated in the Kachin state. So the
Kuching state. But it's a kind of Kuching or something. Some Kachin or some, not Kachin.
heads
So that's northern part.
And there are many experts. They're experts in the environment, on water management, on engineering, various aspects of the Nissan project, and they will all, well, I'm not a member of the commission. They will be looking into this matter. Then we have experts on contracts, on social impact on the environment, etc. Many issues which need to be.
Okay, dam construction is originally contracted by military. Not her government. So this currently, she actually manage, this country, and some portions military control this country. But dam construction, she also take responsibility by her government. So this is sort of some portion is some balance is military power and her party's power. She just balancing. The same as Rakhine people, Rohingya people's problem. This dam construction, she cannot speak at her party's own opinion against China without military agreement.
Be addressed, and they will look into this matter and they will come up with a report, and we will be guided by the report of this commission.
Well, that sounds like a sound process, looking at all dimensions of what, certainly my experience at dam projects, are multifaceted, multi-community impacts, etc. In this audience tonight, we have people who are from across the US business community, investment community, people who know the world, and people who either are doing business in your country or the wider Southeast Asian region, or who want to. In terms of the economic strategy for your country, perhaps you could spend just a few minutes explaining how you see that unfolding and what particular interests you have as a nation in attracting foreign direct investment.
Well, I had to speak to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the U.S. ASEAN Business Council while I was in Washington. So I don't want to repeat all the things that I said there. But if you're interested, I think perhaps you could get a copy of what I said to them. But we have just, we have not yet finished the process, but we have submitted the draft of our investment law to the legislature, and we hope that it will be endorsed very soon, and that it...
Right, this is Myanmar's most important issue is overseas investment to Myanmar. But she just tried to not accept welcoming the United Nations for the Rohingya issues, and also she neglected Rohingya's massacre by military. So none of the country will not support for Myanmar. She understands that, right? But why she did do that, right? Most important issue is Myanmar's economy, right? How to eliminate poverty people. But this is she went against it actually, right? Against it. It means international society, community against her, not support her because of Rohingya issue, right? And she said, okay, like this, right? Here.
Become a law. Previously, we had two investment laws, one for foreigners and one for domestic businessmen. The foreign direct investment law and the domestic investment law. And this is not pleasing to many of our prospective investors. And we decided that we would have to change it and we would have to have one investment law. And this is now, I understand, in the hands of the legislature. They will be going through it, so I can't really tell you exactly what it's going to be like, because in the end, lawmaking is the responsibility and the prerogative of the legislature. They may amend bits of it, they may reject bits of it, or they may pass the whole as it has been submitted to them. So the investment law that is going to come out very soon will give you a good idea of what to expect if you want to invest in a country. Our economic policy also we have brought out. The main thrust of our economic policy is job creation, because we need that if we're to develop.
So, of course, I'm currently writing Africa, the same. Poverty, how to eliminate poverty is job creation. How to invite manufacturing company coming to the Africa, the same as for Myanmar, the same, right? But most important is how to manage with military instead of sort of discussion, economic strategy and policies, whatever. Even if she goes to thinking about all kind of schema, right? Strategy. But this is not no use because military against her. Actually, military against her, right? Nothing happened. This is she speak out. But something, you just carefully listen. Something feeling a little bit strange feeling, because she does not have power to implement her own economic policy strategy.
Right.
Okay.
If it doesn't go along with the military.
Exactly. So you just get feeling from.
Well, look at Mugabe, right? He ended up resigning.
Oh yeah. Of course. otherwise she's supposed to be assassinated, of course, right? Even if he's a hero of independent person, but she tried to, his wife be president. Oh my goodness, right? So just, of course he should resign. Okay, let's continue the system.
There is a high level of unemployment and a lot of hidden employment. We do not even have proper figures to tell us how bad it is. But the fact that so many of our people are going over the border as illegal migrant workers to countries like China and, of course, mostly to Thailand and Malaysia, this tells us that unemployment is a big problem. Our families are breaking up. You see many villages where young men of strong working age are no longer there. So many. I met some young men who had been working in Malaysia as illegal migrants for 8 years, and they had never seen a city before they came to Rangoon. I said, "You were in Malaysia for 8 years. Haven't you been to a city?" They said, "No." They went across the border through Thailand. They found their way to Malaysia. They were taken straight to a plantation, and there they've been working for 8 years, and they haven't seen a city. They've never been to KL. They were astounded by Rangoon, and of course we were astounded that people who had lived in Malaysia were astounded by the urbanness of Rangoon, if you like. And this is how our people have to earn a subsistence living. They send money back to their families, and the families manage to build themselves little houses, but they don't get to setting up businesses that will allow their men to come back and to live with them. So we need to create jobs. Everywhere I went, they told me our greatest need is jobs.
In creating those jobs of the future, a few of us were at dinner last night with Jack Ma. In fact, it was the night before. And Jack, Chinese entrepreneur, internet finance, going into a whole bunch of smaller rural communities in China, sees this as a gateway and a door to open up micro-business and small business opportunities in poorer regional areas across China. And there's some reasonably good data to suggest he's succeeding. Do you see a parallel possibility opening in your own country for the people that you've just described?
Parallel, not exactly the same, because our situation is different from the Chinese situation. And whatever we do, we must not lose sight of the fact that we want to build up.
By the way, Jack Ma is all over the world. He's traveling around the world. Okay, Africa too. What he's talking about, first of all, every country, underdeveloping or not developed country, every country, you need to consider internet. Okay. In that internet, you cannot build network or SNS more easier to accelerate building industry or new industry, including manufacturing. First of all, you try to consider internet. What he said, here's the kind of issues he just making a point of that kind of issue. He said, okay? So this is a point. He's going to start that.
A democratic federal union, which is to say that in some instances we'll have to put political considerations before economic ones.
Okay?
もうすぐもう終わりになっちゃう頃に。
久しぶり。そんなことない。今ね、あれやってんの、ミャンマーでアウンサンスーチーも終わったんだけど、ところが彼のクレームで、残りやってないじゃないって言われて、よく調べたらやってなかった。で、一番重要なポイントを僕は省略しちゃって、次の、国行っちゃったのね。ブータンに。で、もう一回戻ってんの。で、今日はだからこれやって、ただ、あと10分でこれ終わって、もう一つは、アウンサンスーチーが去年彼女がプレゼンテーションやったやつを、いろんないいこと言ってんだけど、全部嘘ついた。彼女全部わかってんの。全部、そこが1年後、 みんな嘘ついちゃった。UN も彼女はね、ユナイテッドネーションをアクセプトするよって言ったけど、この当時はアクセプトするよって言ったけど、リジェクトしてるし、ミャンマーの、ロヒンギャ守るよって言ったけど、言ってたんだけど、守ってないし。本人を、なぜそうしてんのか。で、彼女は、海外からの投資が一番大事だよって今ちょうど言ってるところなの。ね。でもそんなこと言ってて、ロヒンギャを見殺しちゃったから、誰も、オーバーシーズインベスターを投資しないの。それなぜこの人はこんなこと言ってるのかわからない。
それは、問題の前のスピーチですね。
これだからこの当時なんかなんと9月21日に言ってる。だから、
当時、その数週間前にこれをやっていた時に、あった話は、3人のパネルありましたよね。で、そこであった話は、これから、ウヒンニャは、追い込まれますと。まだそれが起きる前、追い込まれますと。で、それを避けるためにどうしたらいいかとか、そういったことを、初めにディスカッションしてたのは去年の夏なんですよ。でも、そこから、本人たちは、もう圧迫していることを実感していて、で、アウンサンスーチーさんは、もう、そうですね。でも大丈夫ですよってことをみんなに、言わないと、多分投資は来ないから、みんなには大丈夫ですよ。で、私は受け入れますよってことを言ってると思います。で、それがこの時の9月の段階です。ただ、1年後の今年に入って、実際にミリタリーアクションが始まってしまったので。
レックス・ティラーソンが来てね。で、今、ちょうど今現在は、アウンサンスーチーとミーティングやってんだけど、どういうふうにやってるのかって彼女はだから態度、もう大丈夫ですよって言ってくれたら嘘ついて。Okay, let's continue next 10 minutes.
For example, it would be much easier to set up some businesses in those parts.
She's talking about encourage investment to Myanmar, okay?
Of the country which are more developed, which have better infrastructure. But for political reasons, we must make sure that
これさ、カップあるから彼女遅いんだけど。
investment goes to the ethnic areas which are less developed and which have fewer infrastructure facilities. So we can't look at our country in the way in which you look at other countries. Now, China was all right with regard to infrastructure, for example, the roads. Now, we are very poor on all-weather roads. Burma is a monsoon country, and a lot of our roads get washed away.
Okay, it's just interesting. She is talking about not Myanmar. She always saying Burma.
Yeah.
Burma.
Okay?
But it's the same, right?
Huh?
Burma is old name for Myanmar.
Yeah.
After she,
But still,
もうミャンマーになってるはずなんだよね。
she
Still use the old name.
Burma.
It's not good enough. We need weatherproof roads for our people throughout the country, not just in the main areas where the majority Burmese ethnic group live, but for all the other ethnic areas as well.
It's a very large country.
Sorry,
I've been there a few
rewind
times.
that? Can you rewind that?
Well,
What did she
What?
say about ethnic? What did she say about ethnic?
Yeah, she's talking about including Rohingya, other ethnic areas. Rakhine.
Majority ethnic.
Okay? Also, Burmese ethnic group. Burmese ethnic group is everybody, and including all other ethnic areas. Okay? And this majority people is Buddhist. And 1 million people is Muslim. The Muslim is Rakhine state. Okay?
It's a very large country. I've been there a few times.
When you look at China, you wouldn't say Burma is very large.
I'm Australian. We're big on the map as well. But no, it's a big country by Southeast Asian standards.
It's the biggest in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, and it's a big population.
Oh, really big
And many of us look with great optimism and enthusiasm to how not just the democracy will consolidate itself, but the economy emerge as well. Are you getting support from your ASEAN colleagues in your national mission? ASEAN's been part and parcel of the building of a regional economy. Is that network of relationships helping you in your economic task?
We have good relations with our ASEAN neighbours. I was in Thailand recently, and we had very good discussions with regard to the problem of our workers there. and we have decided that it's time the border was marked out properly so that there are no unnecessary problems. So we are establishing better relations even.
Everything gone. Okay.
Well, I think the remarkable history of ASEAN, as I've seen it, is a bunch of countries who 30 or 40 years ago were at each other's throats, now working extraordinarily cohesively together.
Oh, were we at each other's throats? I wasn't aware of that.
Wait.
I don't think we were really.
Who's each other? Rohingya and the...
No, not Rohingya. Cohesive together is in ASEAN.
In ASEAN.
So I wasn't aware of that. I don't think we were really at each other's throats.
By which I mean the former Southeast Asia before ASEAN came into being.
No, even then, I don't think our relation, the internal relationship of the region was that
I was
bad.
referring to communist Indochina, CETO, and all those things. And ASEAN has been a great integrating force.
I would have thought there were greater problems between Indochina and America than between Indochina and us.
And I wasn't even going to go there. But now that you mentioned Uncle Sam, because there are a few Americans in the audience.
I'm glad there are some.
Yeah.
Some
And my experience...
I think this
Uncle Sam
other...
is American.
Of course, American. I said, she is making a presentation or address in Washington. Okay, but he is this guy is former Australian Prime Minister. He can speak Chinese. What I forget that the name is. He's former, he's Prime Minister of Australia.
Having lived in New York now for a couple of years, is that your country has an extraordinarily high profile in the minds of the American people. Therefore, a deep interest in what this country can do in their economic and...
Well, why he make an address here in Washington? Because he want to invite American investment to Myanmar. Okay?
Engagement with Burma into the future. I see the President last week announced his intentions of lifting the remaining sanctions on Myanmar, easing barriers to trade and supporting US $10 million in loans to small business in Myanmar. For the US government, if I could be quite specific about that, what would you like to see more coming from Washington as far as your country's future is concerned?
I'm very pleased with what they have been doing so far, and I appreciate everything they've done. I'm very glad sanctions have been lifted. There are those who think that it's still too early, but I don't, because as I explained to Congress, sanctions were like a crutch, which we needed. But now what we need is, physiotherapy, so we can get onto our own feet without the crutches. We need empowerment. And the United States government has been doing everything they can to help us. I appreciate that, and I hope that our relationship will get better, that our friendship will be cemented over the years to come, and that we can work together. There's nothing I can say in criticism of what the U.S. has been not doing for us. They've done as much as they are able to do, and I believe in gratitude. I'm grateful to our friends for all that they have done for us and are doing for us. And I really don't want to go on saying we want more and more and more. I always say to my people, I don't want you to be a people with your hands out. I want you to be a people who appreciate what's given to you, but you take it in order to make yourself strong enough not to need help in the future.
What a marvellous sentiment. A spirit of thankfulness in international relations rather than some of the other principles or practices we often hear and see. Finally, State Councillor, in your transition to democracy, and you've referred constantly to parliamentary commissions working on this, that and the other, and it's new, and you've got a whole bunch of new members of Parliament. Give me a sense of how the Parliament itself is beginning to shake down to its new life. Here in the United States, they have something called filibusters. They're kind of fun to watch. I'm not sure they're fun to be in. In Australian parliaments, we don't have filibusters. We just have fisticuffs. So, parliamentary democracies are a many and varied thing. How's yours evolving? And internally,
She's talking about the parliament. It means still fairly portion of military people occupying in the parliament, even if she's party is leading government. Okay.
Remember the
She can take.
the retired people were in the
Oh yeah. Actually, military power is remained.
Mm.
So she cannot get the influence 2/3 of votes from parliament. And also he just, not only the portion of military people, but also some portion of the government activity is managed by military. So she cannot doing by herself whatever she wants.
how are the relationships proceeding within the institution?
This is what he said.
Well, apart from the fact that 25% of the members of our parliaments are not elected, I think
This is military.
they're getting on well. Some of our regulations and some of our procedures might seem a bit strange to you, but then some of your procedures seem very strange to us. So,
And our procedures seem strange to us
we're doing
as well.
well. The legislature, before the elections last year, I would say that the legislature was the most democratic institution in the country, because we had good speakers who were fair, who were even-handed in the treatment of the members of parliament. And although we were a small majority, we were treated as the main opposition, which we were. There were only 44 of us in the union legislature, but we were still the party with the largest number of MPs after the USDP, which had the overwhelming majority. So Parliament started really to become democratized, and we are continuing with the process. And I have to say that we have an excellent speaker in the lower house, a good party man, and a very, very, very fine lawyer, and that's important.
Well, knowing the rules of procedure and running a House of Parliament is an art form in itself, as we've seen in all these democracies over time. To conclude, State Councillor, you're among friends here at the Asia Society. You've been here before. We'd love to have you back again sometime, before too many years go by, to report on how things are going. So can we see you again?
I'm not going to report to you, but I'd be very happy to speak to you.
We are here to listen.
That's all right. I'd be very, very happy to speak to you again. But I prefer it if it's a two-way conversation.
It's good. Well, we'd enjoy that as well, and that's why so many of the questions that I've asked and you've accused me of having a big list here actually come from all these folk out there. So I've sought to do so, representing their interests as well. It's wonderful to see you. It's just a delight to see you in this position of high office which you now hold within your country. For those who observe your career and your life with admiration for such a long period of time. So, ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation to Aung San Suu Kyi.
You're not going to ask them to applause. I don't like this.
So,
It's your right to decide whether you want to applaud or not.
okay, she made very good presentation at this time.
Mm.
It's a pity. Right? It's a pity. Now is we have a time, so moving to the 24 minutes, but let's have a look past the 10 minutes, okay? And what they try to do is just criticize what she did.
Catastrophic and completely unacceptable. The words of UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres describing the attacks.
Okay, this is Antonio Guterres is UN Secretary General, okay?
Against Muslim Rohingya in Myanmar. As more people flee to Bangladesh, what would it take to stop this violence? This is Inside Story.
So she said unacceptable, right? What happened?
This is by which channel? Al Jazeera.
Hello, welcome to the program.
This one, Al Jazeera.
Global pressure is mounting on Myanmar.
Okay, two good like kind of YouTube news: Al Jazeera and Russian TV.
Russian TV.
And recently, also I'm adding CCTV, China. It's
CCTV.
very neutral. Yes. It's strange. China and Russia and Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is Qatar.
In Qatar.
Qatar and Russia and China. How come those people are neutral?
But still, Qatar is not. It's not government-based media.
No.
Al Jazeera is not government-based.
Al Jazeera is completely managed by government.
Government.
Yeah,
Al Jazeera?
Maybe
Of
that-
course.
I
But
thought
Qatar?
that's
Yeah,
why
of course.
Other people attack Qatar.
Yeah,
I
Saudi
think
Arabia,
so,
just
because
the Al Jazeera, yeah.
So influence, so resource,
Exactly.
source of news recently for Muslim, most of all Muslims saw that.
Watch this one.
So influential. That's why they attack the
Yes.
Qatar.
Exactly.
Yes.
Also
Exactly.
this,
Right. So Saudi Arabia asked them to stop it.
Right,
Okay,
right.
but
Yes,
Qatar, no, we don't,
Right.
because this one is Al Jazeera, Russian TV, and CCTV. Three major. Yeah, CCTV is very neutral. Recently, yes, Africa.
Government-based?
Government.
Global news とかは
Yeah, and most worst in the world. Do you know which was the most worst YouTube video? Most worst news
Worst?
station? Yes, most worst in the
America.
world. No. America is YouTube is very good. Very Japan. Terrible. Okay. For example, I'm currently writing down Africa, right? And South Sudan, and the self-defense force went there. Very difficult to find out. Japanese government never prepared kind of advertisement. China is lot. Al Jazeera a lot. Russia is, they don't not so much emphasize on Russian activity pushing, but they are lot of kind of news they are handling. Japan no. Difficult. NHK no. They're talking about only domestic issues in English. Some beach, okay.
China's leader Aung San Suu Kyi to end the killing and displacement of
バイアスになんかどちらかによってバイアスって日本では
Bias.
Not neutral.
Japanese news is very much biased.
Yes.
And CCTV in China is not biased. It's very neutral, okay?
CG TV?
CCTV.
CC.
China Central TV.
CC.
CCTV.
Okay, television. So
B.
China Central Television.
Muslim Rohingya. The UN has urged the government to take immediate steps to stop the violence. Secretary General Antonio Guterres called on Myanmar's military to suspend its operation in the western Rakhine state and allow Rohingya to return to their villages.
By the way, Al Jazeera English is very good. No problem. CCTV no problem. Russian TV problem. But I'm just preparing Africa. It's a book, writing book, right? Like this one. Very difficult to listen. African people, the English is terrible. Terrible. Okay? Only very educated people only.
Yes.
But still, unwillingly, I need to pick it up for the YouTube for this my this book. But some cases, half of those I can understand. Half of those I can. Some cases, one woman is a guest speaker, one of those, three of those, but I cannot listen whatever she said. But I don't know what is this one.
400,000 people have fled to Bangladesh since the violence escalated.
Maybe he's going to
late last
invite some speaker.
We've a lot to get to with our guest, but first James Bayes sets up our discussion from UN headquarters in New York.
These were the toughest words yet from
Oh,
the
this
Secretary
is
General
white
on the
people.
ongoing violence in Myanmar. I call on the Myanmar authorities to suspend military action, end the violence, uphold the rule of law.
Oh, beforehand, I need to explain the background for this. This one. Okay. This one is: will Aung San Suu Kyi step up to halt Rohingya crisis? This is an issue of this inside story. And global pressure is mounting of Myanmar's army and the country's leader Aung San Suu Kyi to end the killing of displacement of Rohingya Muslims. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called the killing catastrophic and completely unacceptable, he said. And he said that Myanmar military should suspend its operation in the western Rakhine state and allow Rohingya to return to their villages. At least 400,000, at this time 400,000, okay? It's now 800,000?
Double.
Yeah, double. People have fled to Bangladesh since the violence escalated late last month. Late last month is August. Okay? And more Rohingya flee to Bangladesh. What will it take to stop this violence? And President, this white people guested also, Phil Robertson is the Deputy Asian Director, Human Rights Watch. And second one, Maun Zalmi, might be this Myanmar guy, visiting fellow on Myanmar at the London School of Economics and founder of Free Burma Coalition. Burmese. Abdul Rashid, founder and chairman at the Rohingya Foundation Community. Oh, might be his English is horrible. Just title is okay, very much. He's get short-tempered, I believe. And それで、ここでまとめ、法人アントニオ・グンテレスは民情部のメモでないと明言した。国連の同任理事国のうち、中国、ミャンマーの軍部との関係深いので、ミャンマー制裁の決が取れないだろう。これ僕の意見だね、きっと。あ、こんなの言ってんだ、誰か。ミャンマーに対しては軍事的な物資の提供をやめるべきだって言ってんのね。国連は煮切らない態度をとっている。なんとかしてほしいという意見がミャンマーの団体の意見が出ているが、これ、このゲストスピーカーの意見ね、どうしようもできないようだ。アウンサンスーチーが発言するのが一番効果がある。と言ってるんだよ。橋田首相が彼らを難民を支援すると言った。しかしながら、スピーカー全員がアウンサンスーチーが発言することは必要だと言った。というのは、この時点のね、just this, August, this year. Okay? That's the summary. And then keyword here. Beforehand, I just explained the keyword. Logjam. もうね、行き詰まり、logjam. Logjam. And footage. 映像。テレビの映像ね。Scorched earth policy. 衝動作戦。Stampede. 怖がらせて追い散らす。これ、Stampede. ロヒンヤね。Eradication. 根絶。Pussyfoot 煮え切らない態度と、Pussyfoot あんまり使わないよね。Contextual これもよく使う。これは Influence あんまり使わないね。Influence Sociological これはよく使う。Spikes 使いますね。Move in sync with 同時に動く。Defective よく使いますね。Anachronistic これもよく出てくる。Anachronistic Institutionalized violence まあ、institutionalized violence ってこの二つの言葉を合わせてるのはあんまり使わない。spectacularly 著しい。gratify 満たす。これもよく使いますね。あんまり、難しいことはあんまり使ってないんで、内容優しい。これ彼が事務総長の写真です。あんまり能力ないみたいね、この人。前の人と一緒だ。この人ね。あ、違うか。違う？あ、そうだよね。
And recognize the right of return of all those who have to leave the country.
The UN knows the situation is deteriorating fast. When Mr. Guterres last spoke to reporters a week ago, there were 125,000 Rohingya refugees. That number has now tripled.
Given the situation has got so much worse in the last week, do you believe this is ethnic cleansing?
Well, I would answer your question with another question. When 1/3 of the Rohingya population had to flee the country, can you find a better word to describe it?
The Secretary-General has already taken the extremely rare step of writing to the Security Council urging them to take action. As he spoke, the Council was meeting, first with an open session on Somalia. It was only after that ended and they went into closed session, and when they discussed any other business, that the crisis in Myanmar was finally raised. Afterwards, the President of the Security Council read a carefully worded statement that was nowhere near as strong as the words of the Secretary-General.
The members of the Security Council expressed deep concern about the situation in Rakhine State, acknowledging the initial attack on Myanmar security forces on 25th August.
Should Myanmar stop all its military operations in the state now? That's what the Secretary-General says. Does the Security Council share that view?
Now, that the statement that I read out is what we have agreed.
There are some who'll see that as a very weak statement.
Some might say.
So why is the Security Council not being tougher? There's always a logjam when there's a lack of unity and when one of the permanent 5 members is opposed to action. In this case, diplomats point to China, a long-standing ally of Myanmar's military. James Bays, Al Jazeera.
Why China against official announcement by United Nations? Because Chinese military very close relationship with Myanmar's military, and actually the Myanmar military killed Rohingya people.
At the United Nations.
Because China want to make a dam. The Chinese military is trying to consider for construction dam in Myanmar, cooperated with Myanmar military, not Aung San Suu Kyi. It's almost time.
Already?
Okay, I wait the next week for you. By the way, next week for you, I'm going to show you this one. But also, I'm looking for another video. What is the most updated Aung San Suu Kyi? She's going to announce something next week. Aung San Suu Kyi will going to already. Tillerson and Aung San Suu Kyi had a meeting this week, so she's going to take some action because she understands she's losing any kind of investment from all over the world to Myanmar. Okay, so she needs to change her mind instead of her voters, against her opinion for handling Rakhine people, right? Muslim people. Otherwise, she cannot get any investment from all over the world. Right? This is an issue. So sort of things next week they're going to talking about that. Okay? Any question?
No.
It's interesting, right?
Yes.
But I don't understand why she's talking about different opinion. She made an announcement last year. Why she just changed her mind?
She probably didn't think it would be. Well, maybe she underestimated military action. She didn't think.
Expect so much war situation. Just
Maybe she knew the tensions were happening, but she didn't expect this ethnic cleansing would happen.
She should know that.
Well, she should, but
because her party is the biggest, and also her party member is living in those areas. So she got any kind of information she get from his followers. She should know everything.
Just only getting money, getting investment.
Then maybe she was talking bullshit last year.
Talking what?
She only said what people want to hear in order to get investment last year.
Yeah, so if she's thinking about he want to get investment.
No, so yes. So what I'm saying is, it's not. She didn't change her mind. She had no other way of saying this last year in order to.
But now is the same. She should to compete against military, even what kind of military take action for Rohingya. She need to deny military action. Otherwise, she can't get any money from all over the world.
Right.
And also, she needs to talk top general, military general. If you're going to do that, we can't get any money. What hell are you doing?
She doesn't have authority against military, right?
Yeah, but she needs to talk with general. And otherwise, military, no future.
Yes, but at the same time, isn't military zone who put her into the house for 20 years?